healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Welcome to Lady Journey.
Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome. I just made it through Norovirus.
I
didn't get hit that bad.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, because I know it goes around in New York
24-hour bug.
That's
That's what took the cruise ships down. That's what was getting people on the cruises. And also Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Yeah.
I get it every few years here. It's a stomach bug. This one was light for me, but for some odd reason, it hit Joe really bad, which is so annoying.
I know. It's like men have a lower tolerance.
Well, he looked it up. It said something about, he was like, because he doesn't understand why every time he gets my stomach bug, I get like one light barf.
Mm-hmm.
I get one good barf out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got about 24 hours or a good 12 of straight barfing and diarrhea.
Oh, that's terrible.
So he looked it up. It's something about like possibility of blood type, which was like, oh, that makes sense, because people were talking about that with COVID and why some people are getting hit hard with COVID harder than other people.
How interesting. So what's your blood type?
I have no idea. I think I'm O, which is
I
have
think
the
I'm
one
O
that's
too.
the most popular one.
Me too. Pretty cool. O positive.
O positive. I'm pretty sure that's the one I
The
have.
universal donor. Or actually the universal. Yeah, it is the universal donor, I think.
Yeah. So we just went through that. I kind of wanted the big one. And I know that's always like, but that like barfing all the time is not pleasant, but there's something kind of nice to relinquish all control of your life.
Yes.
Every responsibility has left your body.
Well, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything.
It's not like sometimes when you take a day off and you're like, oh, my priority is rest. And then you get an email and you're like, fuck, I got to do this email.
Right.
It's like when you're sick, you're like, listen, I'm sick. I cannot do anything.
There's no way I can get to this. Also, Joe was lucky enough that it was staggered. So I got it first. And then on the day he was getting it hit hard, I was in a good recovery state. So I was able to like be the parent that day.
Yeah. Yeah, when you get sick when you have a baby, it's like it just doesn't let up.
Like, I don't know what I would have done if I was in Joe's position, but he, I guess, was barfing all throughout the night. So it was just like he would have, if he was by himself, like a single parent, he would have barfed through the night and then had to stay up all the next day. It's just been a rough week because I think Marty still got remnants of it.
Aww.
He had an epic diarrhea.
Oh my God.
Epic diarrhea. And I felt and he doesn't seem fazed by it, which is so funny. If he was an adult and he saw what came out of him, he would be like, hold all my calls. And instead he's just like,
he's like playing around.
Yeah, he's in it. I looked up I was playing a puzzle in his room while he was by the table, and I look up and he's standing in the hugest pile of pea soup and his hands are all covered in it. So I had to I couldn't even pick him up because he would have covered. So I had to take him by his hand so he wouldn't put him in his mouth. Because they just put him in their mouth.
Yeah.
So I had to walk him to the bathroom and wash him off in the shower.
Wow.
And then Joe cleaned up the pea soup of diarrhea in his room, and he can't help it. And I probably would have done this if I don't clean too often, but he took the Febreze and sprayed Febreze all over the barf hole.
Okay.
I fucking hate Febreze, and I should just have it out of the house. It is I think I'd rather smell barf because at least it's a natural smell.
Yeah.
And it will slowly dissipate and you can dilute it with water. So I finally got a Spot steam cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
Vacuum.
Oh,
worth it.
Whoa.
Only because of Marty. Because of the
He's
peeing.
shitting everywhere.
Shitting everywhere and diarrhea. Actually, it wasn't barf. It was just diarrhea. So he had Febrezed it. He did a good job of cleaning it, but he Febrezed it. So Marty's room, and I suspect that's why Marty couldn't sleep last night. So after coming out of Norovirus, Marty was up all night last night, and so we put him on our bed, and he just kept us up. So we just haven't had a day of sleep this week. It's been a nightmare, and I don't know how I'm surviving.
It's so hilarious talking to parents of babies where they're like, and then I never slept.
I never slept.
I never slept.
And you can't.
You can't sleep because your baby is depending on you.
And you just like, I'm going to sleep in and he can do whatever he wants. Because if you do that, he will just kill himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm on trial. Your Honor.
Yeah. Your Honor, I was tired.
It's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do it by themselves.
Yeah.
You do really need to move back home with your family.
Yeah.
But I actually don't have a family that helps me.
Right.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
They don't. Well, yes. I don't really. I have a sister-in-law that will help, but like, I don't know. That's all there is.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
that's
but
like
even
what
their
a lot
lives
of
are busy.
modern people. It's like we don't live in the community. You know, it's like everyone
Fucking
has like the nuclear
sucks.
family, but
I wouldn't. Yeah.
anyway, but
I would
sickness
kill
though.
to be
Yeah.
sick. So I wouldn't. I was jealous
Yeah,
of Joe. I was
yeah.
like, I'm so jealous.
Just put
that
me in the
you-
hospital. That's a spa.
I want to be in the
at that
hospital.
point.
Yeah. I
That's a
want to go
spa.
to the hospital. It is a spa. But
But this has
there's something-
inspired us.
what I've really gotten into, we found that we have a spring bone nearby.
Oh,
us.
spring bone. Oh yeah,
So
that's
they
great.
have all kinds of bone broths.
Yeah, Springbone is like a soup restaurant, which is like you're like, ugh, God, that won't last. But actually, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. They
bone
give
broth.
you bone broth in a coffee cup.
Yeah, and it's yummy.
So you can get immunity. There's like ones with like turmeric, coconut, garlic.
So good.
You can just get straight bone broth, and it's really yummy. And
I was really into making bone broth for a while.
that was a thing. I guess
Yeah.
during the keto movement, bone broth was really raging for a moment.
I would be, but it's hard to. You have to like live by an actual butcher and go in and be like, "May I have the bones?"
Yes,
Which is weird, and
we're not doing that. I don't think we're like
they don't
have
have the
that.
bones. They don't have those at Trader Joe's.
No.
That's all I know.
it's
Bone
it'd be
broth
weird
is
to be like,
so
"Can I have the
healing."
bones?" Yes,
Well, it's
and
so-
it's so comforting when you
Oh,
and then when you look at it, it
and
even
the
looks
salty-
silky on top.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that collagen.
But you feel so good when you're drinking it.
Oh my God. Yeah, when you're sick and you just have like those little sips. This is our sickness episode, by the way. It's
because
inspired.
we're in the cold season.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna get norovirus.
You're going to get something.
It's only, I'd say 48 hours, 12 of barfing and then a good 24 of
Yeah.
recuperating.
But you could save this episode and be like, I'll only play. That's what I did with the Sex and the City movie. I never watched it. And I was like, I'm going to save this in case I come down with like cancer or something and I really need like something comforting. And then now I'm like, I feel like I should have just watched it because I'm disinterested in it now. But
right. I call those airplane movies where you're like, that looks like a bag of garbage. And I
Yeah.
will only watch that on the airplane because what else am I going to do?
Your
So I'm not going to
tolerance-
waste my life
yeah,
on this.
your tolerance for shit movies goes way down on the airplane.
I'll watch The Meg.
Oh, yeah.
Give me any movie that I'm like, that looks like complete garbage. I'm going to
on the
watch
airplane,
it on the
you're
plane.
like, don't mind if I do. This will pair nicely with my 18 bags of chips. Thank you, JetBlue. But this is not an episode of like what I hate when you're sick, which drives me to murderous rage. I was mentioning this on a bonus is when people are like, hot water with lemon. You're like, I'm peeing from my butt.
Right.
Okay? I don't need your fucking home remedy that everyone has heard of.
Right. There's nothing new to it. And also your home remedy, you're telling me to do this for the same amount of time that the actual sickness lasts.
Yeah, yes.
So really what I'm doing is drinking your weird shit while I'm riding out the storm.
I'm like-
and I'd rather not put shit on my chest.
Yes.
Well,
Or the
yeah.
people will be like, drink water.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, now I'm just drinking 3 gallons of water a day. I'm pissing every 20 minutes and my cold is still 2 weeks long.
Right. And what do you like to do when you get sick?
When I get sick, I do pound liquids, which is annoying, but I try to take it as like a priority of self-care where it's like, okay, so I won't just drink water, but I'll do like herbal tea. I'll do the coconut water. I love to get a fresh squeezed orange juice. I do I'll do fruit infusions. I'll do like a cucumber and blueberry water, you know, something like that. So I do try to spoil myself in the variety of liquids. I do like to do a bone broth or like throw it in the slow cooker and just like let it go. Like if I get like rotisserie chicken, I'll take the carcass, which it feels weird to say that, but that is the technical term.
Yes.
The carcass, put it in the freezer, and then I leave it in there. And then, you know, if I need broth
For later, yes.
I'll just throw it in the slow cooker with water, and it's easy.
Yeah, you're good to go.
But the thing about being sick is like if you can find the right distraction in terms of entertainment, I feel like you're halfway to health.
I think, and I also sometimes feel like in a sickness, there's a feeling of zen. It's like, this is the time where I can be a big piece of shit.
Yes, permission to rest.
To rot. And so there is a feeling of savoring it.
Yes.
Of like when I went to the hospital with colitis or whatever the fuck that thing was a few years ago, even I was shitting my brains out. There was a feeling of like, I'm really happy in here.
Nobody bothering me.
I was at the lowest form of like, I didn't need to be attractive. I didn't need to get up or do anything. This was the only thing that was expected from me is to drink some Sprite and get some IV and just like lay here with my thoughts. It was meditative. Because I don't think I was getting that great of cell phone service. And so there was a feeling of, I just felt free and I could finally accept that this is what's happening. Because you can't fight for it.
When you're coming down with colitis and you're like still trying to do your errands, that's stressful. I think a lot of times we get sick in the winter because you're like, you have the holidays or whatever. You're like, you know, still kind of going hard in terms of like you're drinking, you're eating a lot, you're like with your family, which is stressing you out. And then you don't ever really take a moment for you. And then it's like, surprise, you came down with something because then you went straight back to work.
Right. Immediately afterwards.
You're like, why am I exhausted? Why am I exhausted? Maybe because you ate 5 pounds of ham every day.
And then you had to be on for 24 hours in front of your aunt. Like you
doing like conflict resolution.
Or that uncle is going to say, what's wrong?
Why are you
crying? Or like, you're never fun at parties. And you're like, well, I'm resting. My fucking face.
You do get like a thing with the in-laws where you get home and you're like, my mouth hurts.
Yes.
Just from...
where I can lay on the couch. I can take up space.
So
that's the feeling of the zen I can get from cold. But I was talking about this too. Do you ever have this sometimes? Like sometimes do you think when you wallow more, maybe just like a head cold situation, the more you wallow, the worse you can make it feel? Sometimes if you just kind of, once you've like gotten a little bit of rest, if you get up, take a shower, get dressed, you all of a sudden you're like, I actually feel better. And I think I can do a few things. And maybe that there are some days where I felt like, when I was sick, if I just wallowed in it, I'm like, I think I feel worse because I'm just let it be this way.
Well, I
can push through a cold sometimes.
I think that there is a thing where I was reading something about this where if you like if you sleep in and you lay around all day, like, and this happens to me, I have felt it physically, because you're like at a resting point, you're not taking in as much oxygen as if you were like getting up and like doing stuff and going about your day.
Yeah, and moving around.
You're depriving yourself of oxygen, so it does make you tired. And so I think that really is true, where it's like when you get like 24-hour flu versus like that 2-week cold that just never goes away. It's
right.
Like, when you get that 2-week cold, that's when you have to be like, okay,
look, I got to get out.
I'm living my life as a person with a cold. I have to do my self-care practices and be like drinking my 1,000 liquids and just getting through it. Yeah. And like taking my hot showers or whatever. But it's like you still have to like go to the gym. You still have to like go to your job. You can't just like take 2 weeks out of your life to be a big turd. That's why, even though
I think you make it worse.
you make it worse because it's like
and then you're going to get depressed.
you have to go on. Well, I will say I had a 2-week cold like that for a while, and I was like, I'm gonna just drink as much tea as I can. And I was drinking all this. I thought it was mint tea, and I was like, I'm coming out of it. I was like, the tea's helping. Turned out to be green mint tea, where I was just like ingesting mass amounts of having like 10 cups of green tea. I'm like, I think I'm back.
Right.
I'm back.
That's like, I always, whenever if I'm sick or sometimes I'm like, give me the good Claritin D.
Oh yeah.
Give me the cocaine Claritin D.
Give me that Sudafed, babe. Give me that Sudafed behind the counter.
I've always joked where I'm like, I actually really like who I am on the good Claritin D.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm chipper.
I'm partying.
Chipper,
I'm partying
yeah.
while I'm sick. I'm having a good time.
Well, I do think NyQuil actually really helps me if I get a sinus infection. I used to like really try to ride it out with herbal remedies and doing like steaming my face or whatever. But I started taking NyQuil, and I would get the double pack of the NyQuil, the Dayquil.
Love a NyQuil. But some people complain that they get so tired the next day.
I do. I have accidentally shoplifted from taking NyQuil the day before, where I was like, I was like putting stuff in my bag, and then I just only like paid for my coffee, and then I was like out like, what have I done?
Yeah.
But you know, that helped me.
Right.
That helped.
It
That
got
was
you
a money
back on
saver.
track. Yeah.
But the Dayquil, I mean, I remember being so sick one time. I took Dayquil, and this was when I used to intern, quote unquote, at one of these clubs here in town, which is like a nightmare. And I'm just there at the club all night, like helping them, you know, take tickets at the door or whatever, and sick doing this, because you know I'm like on my grind, you know, but I took the Dayquil, and boy, I was up. So I went out after the show. I have my camera bag, I have my tripod with me, going out, met up with somebody for a drink, then went to a birthday party. Oh no, I think I was going home. I ran into some people going to a birthday party. I'm the last person. The bar's closing. It's 4 a.m. I'm going home with someone. And it's like, Dayquil is so dangerous. It's like, you won't just feel better. You'll be blacking out. You'll be on a fucking bender.
Yeah, where like it's almost dangerous what kind of amphetamines they put in certain day cold stuff. Where you're like, this is. Oh, you're like, I can understand how they make meth from Sudafed and Claritin D.
I can never try meth because I think I would love it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
I think of the SEO I would create for this podcast if I was on meth right now.
Well, that's why when Elle was talking about her Adderall, I was like, and then listening when John Mulaney admitted to just being on Coke all those years where I'm like this, is that what it takes to be successful?
Yeah,
it's just to be on like speed?
You need to be on speed.
I think I've heard Nikki joke about her taking Adderall, and I was like, that makes sense. I suspect that Beyonce's on Adderall.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'm going to start doing Adderall.
It's steroids for the brain.
I know I need it because I keep getting sidetracked.
I know. I love to go on a side quest, and I get over caffeinated too, which is like probably not good. And then I'm like, I wonder why I never get anything done. I have 18 tabs open on my laptop.
As you said, like I've organized my sock drawer.
Yeah.
It's when you're like, well, there's no point to that.
That didn't need to happen. But anyway, back to being sick.
Right.
What was the sickest you've ever been?
Well,
the colitis.
The colitis was in my adult years, I would say the colitis in any kind of food poisoning I've ever had.
I've had vicious food poisoning. Vicious.
Right. Oh, it's so weird because you can't even. That's what Joe and I were talking about with the Norovirus. We were like, well, I didn't have that planned. That was none of my plans this week.
Hits you out of nowhere.
Just be barfing nonstop. Like I
didn't have
everything
a plan
has
for this.
to get like pushed back another 24 hours or so. And then I was really sick as a kid, but I feel like that's not the answer for a question like this. You're like, I had cancer.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it was
you had
really
asthma,
bad
right?
asthma as a kid. Where that's another thing. Like when my sister came to visit me during colitis, it's like I like magazines.
Oh, love a magazine.
I haven't had a magazine in ages. I stopped doing magazines because of Pinterest and all that. I like listening to music. I think podcasts, and then also like you want to like kind of get into the fashion mode of sick. Like,
Oh,
get some good
loungewear.
PJs.
Loungewear.
I also do a cleanse after the sick of a cleaning cleanse, meaning like I'm going to get fresh sheets.
Yes.
I'm going to
that's
clean
the
my sheets.
best.
I'm going to clean everything that I've been wearing and clean my kitchen and Clorox bleach everything because I need a fresh start.
Yes.
I want to open up all the doors of my apartment and get whatever gross air.
Get the fresh air in.
out. Get the
I
Febreze
love
out.
it. I love.
The Febreze is
I
so
know it does
bad.
smell like it smells like
It's
cat
so bad.
odor, like the body odor of a cat.
I'd rather smell a rotting body than Febreze.
I feel like I have smelled one before because every now and then you smell a really bad smell in New York and you're like, did someone die here?
I know, and people say whenever you smell a rotting body, you will know, but I'm like, I still don't know.
It's like, but what was that smell?
I still need to see the body. It's like an orgasm where you're like, I think maybe I
yeah. The elusive vaginal orgasm. What were you just saying?
The cleaning of the apartment.
Oh yes, it reminds me of. I love the Velveteen Rabbit. It's like that story where it's like the kid has scarlet fever and then they have to burn the rabbit at the end, and it's so dramatic.
That's
It's like
devastating.
I know, it's like one of those kids. It's like that shouldn't really be a kid's story. It's like
No.
children aren't emotionally prepared for that type of drama, and it's like then the rabbit had to get burnt to death. The end.
It's like Old Yeller.
Yeah. Ugh. Fucked up.
I don't even know if they do that movie anymore, that book. Wasn't there another book called Where the Red Fern Grows? What's
and I
that
think
one
that's
about?
something
Like an Irish setter?
a bridge to Terabithia. That was another death. All these My Girl
Or this
Stung by the Bees.
A Separate Piece.
Yes.
Did you ever read that one for high school reading?
He
Where-
dies.
Oh my God. Or like My Girl. That's what
My
you just
Girl,
said?
yeah.
That one,
Yeah, it's
I
like,
remember that in movies.
stop.
Nobody talked about that.
It's
scene.
it's too traumatic.
So sad.
We shouldn't be forcing that on kids. It's really, I mean, I remember like even like Bambi. It's like that's how every kid's movie. It's like, and then his mom died. Enjoy the movie. It's like, what is this weird drama? Just like show me like a banana.
Why does somebody have to die in order for a kid to enjoy a movie?
Yeah, what's up with this high drama? It's like just two bananas wearing loungewear. Having a tea party, that's all we need.
It's always like all those comedies of the 80s and like Walt Disney movies are like, get rid of the woman so we can have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like
3 men, a baby. We don't need the female in here. It's 3 men raising a baby.
She's going to be a downer. Yeah.
Full House, get rid of
Mr.
the wife.
Mom. Yeah. Mr. Mom. Mr. Mom, I think, is actually one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
My favorite movie as a kid.
It's hysterical.
I could watch it every.
That's a great
any
sick
responsibility
movie.
I had. Oh, I love sick movies. Yeah.
Mr. Mom is a good. Yeah, it's.
I like watching a Lord of the Rings, a thing that's like going to
suck
be
you
12
in.
hours for the day. Yeah.
Oh my God, Lord of the Rings.
Love Lord of the
You're just
Rings.
living in the world. And
Give
then
me
you're
fantasy.
making well, do you see these like the Hobbit recipes on TikTok?
Oh yeah.
And it's like they'll show like their full menu of like the 8 meals they've prepared for the day, and it's like for 11sies we're having mutton and potato. It's so romantic.
I know, you're like, I want to be in that way. And then they're like, we actually used the utensils, so it took us days.
We're eating with our hands and our feet, our hobbit feet.
Our big old feet.
Well,
yes.
Then you realize you're like, oh, it's just British food. It's just
Right.
like a beef Wellington.
Right. Yes.
We're having many beef Wellingtons at my wedding.
Oh, I love beef Wellington.
Yeah,
it needs to come back. I could watch lots of cooking videos of just wrapping pastries around meats.
Oh my God, pastry, phyllo dough. Now, would you rather have an intense 24-hour bug, or would you rather have the 2-week cold?
Give me the 24-hour
You think
intense
so?
bug.
Get it over with,
like,
right?
I like a thing that I am out.
Yes.
And you know what movie I thought of? Did you ever watch Phantom Thread?
No.
It's a Paul T. Anderson movie with Daniel Day-Lewis. And
I love Daniel Day-Lewis.
I forgot, it's a German actress and she's so good. She's so good. she becomes his new muse, and usually he throws away his muses.
Oh,
and he owns like a fashion house that's like
Yes.
Christian Dior of the day during the Christian Dior
Oh, I
days.
love this already.
And he's such a type A personality and very controlling. But again, he throws his muses away. But she kind of like starts realizing this and realizes she's almost on the out.
Okay.
And then she poisons him slightly with mushrooms and he becomes sick. But then he loves the idea of being relinquished control. And then she's thriving because she gets to take care of her man and he needs her.
Oh my God. This is a great sick movie.
It's a
because
good
he's
sick-
sick.
He's sick.
He's sick and you're sick.
And then this movie is really good, but he came up with the premise of it as just like the dynamic of a relationship when you're sick. And how
Oh,
people need-
interesting.
And then we can get into this. Have you ever thought it was fascinating, like when really high, like that John Edwards? Am I confusing him with the the telepathic guy? There's a senator when his wife got cancer, he leaves her, and then Brett Favre when his wife got cancer, he's like, I'm going back to football.
Yeah. When women get sick, the husbands leave.
Right.
Well, it is interesting because it's like anytime I've had like a sick boyfriend or like man in my life, I'm always like, oh, let me get the soup. I got the tissues out,
Right.
and then like, then you end up getting the sickness and they're like, okay, stop, bye.
No.
You're
I
like,
feel
what?
like I'm the opposite though. Like I cannot stand sickness in a relationship.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because there's like, I don't have time. I don't have time.
I'm living my life. I have a career.
Well,
I
I've
can't
also
baby you.
joked about this in relationships. Like I always, in the vows of your marriage, it's like through sickness and in health. I'm like, I think you have to say those because you will constantly be making each other sick and you'll be wanting to murder each other.
Yes.
So you have to know. That's why you say, remember.
Yeah, remember, those were
How
our
many
vows.
times we were going to give each other the Norovirus?
Yeah, it's going to go back and forth through the family. It's going to rip through the family,
Special
especially if you have
times.
kids.
Yes. You're going to get sick all the time now that we're living together. And I think that's why they say it, because it plays a huge part in the relationship.
Yeah, we all have pink eye. We all have pink eye.
Because when your partner gets sick, you're like, I'm getting it.
And the Norovirus, you cannot escape it. It is on every surface and it's like coming out of people.
And we were naive this time. We actually thought I thought Marty and I ate a foodborne illness.
Well, it's so similar.
Yeah.
It's so similar.
But then when Joe got it, that we were like, oh, it's a bug.
Oh.
And we
yeah.
just signed up for a new indoor gym.
You're
so
patient
everything is
Yeah, patient X.
making sense.
I feel like I hate nausea. I feel like nausea is like the most debilitating feeling. Like I'd rather be suffocated, I think.
Well, that was the hardest part of the first trimester.
Ugh.
Is
Oh,
always
yeah.
feeling on the verge of throwing up, but I love throwing up.
I love that.
I
You said
don't
that-
like the before feeling, but I love the press. Like when you're like, here it comes. Sweet relief is on its way,
Oh,
even though if it's
yes.
for 5 minutes.
Yes.
You get it. And then I like the feeling of being worn out afterwards, of a battle
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. You described that so poetically.
where you're just like, you just fall on the bed and then it's time to rest.
Yes.
Yes.
You've done your work. Accomplishment.
I've done. Yes. So give me 24 hours.
The last time I threw up, I throw up rarely. I'm a very rare vomiter.
Barfer.
But when I do, it's always because I end up chugging water and then I went to Mike's cousin's wedding and they did have a cookie table and I may have gone overboard on the cookie table. I'm like, I don't throw up from Norovirus. I throw up when I am eating cookies to the level that my body cannot take it, on top of like vodka, soda, and wine. God.
And
And
then
then
an NFL spread one day, or where it was just
yes.
a gamut of odd foods to eat
Oh, yeah.
all day,
And you're just like,
indulging.
spinach artichoke, cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
Yum.
Pork pies. Sure, put those in.
Yeah, but I hate nausea, but I do feel like it's so much better just to get it over with in one day and be like, okay, I'm back. Because when you have that 2-week sickness, like it gets to a point where you're like trying to do everything right for yourself. You're trying to take the vitamins, you're trying to drink the water, and then like a weekend, you're just like, all night.
Yeah.
Like, fuck it. And then you're just like, whatever. I guess I will have a glass of wine because nothing I do matters. And it just drives you to the precipice of insanity.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating.
I can almost cry if I've been sick for like over a week. Because you're just like this, come on. I have to get back to my life. And I know everyone's doing Luigi Mangione bits these days, but I have to tell you, knowing that he had back pain, I was like, I will shoot someone in the face.
You have back problems.
After dealing with that. I was like, it was so brutal. And when you're sick, don't you get depressed?
You get depressed because
you're
just
by yourself and
like,
you're watching everybody live their lives.
Yeah, and you feel like you're falling behind. Yes. You're like, why am I not getting brand deals?
Right.
and also the thing too about the 2-week sickness, I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. I tried to stretch it out.
With the 2-week sickness is like, you actually have to show up.
You still have to
want
be
it all
out.
or nothing. That's what I want. I either want to operate at 100% or I don't want to be operating.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. Have you ever gone like to Minute Clinic or, City MD or something with the 2-week sickness and thinking like, finally I'll get, like, I have a sinus infection. They're like, you have a cold and there's nothing we can do and there's no medicine we can prescribe you. And you're like, what is this?
That's what we were like with the, I guess the norovirus. And I guess if it got bad, you just get an IV drip or something. Yeah. But they were like, really on a stomach bug, there's nothing to do. But I was grateful because you're like, oh, good. Doesn't mean I have to spend any money.
Well, yes, that's the thing that does get scary when you get the stomach bug where you're violently sick, where it's like, could this be something else that, like, do I have Ebola right now?
Right.
And you're
well,
like,
that's what the colitis situation, I really was pushing that. And then as soon as like I was just peeing blood out of my ass, I was like, it's time to go. It's time to go. And I felt really bad.
A literal red flag.
I took a lift there and I actually don't think I would do that again. But then you're like, I'm not spending $500 on an ambulance.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
they won't drop you off at a hospital anymore.
Oh, I know, because they have like a thing where it's like, if you die in their car, then it's like, now they have to hide your body or whatever. They have to like go to the authorities and be like, this isn't what it looks like. A young woman in the back.
Right. And then you're also like putting them in a weird position of like, did you just expose me to the beginning of like monkey virus or something? The new epidemic?
Did I tell you that I thought I had monkeypox?
No.
Speaking of,
I forgot about monkeypox.
Oh my God. So I can't believe, I think I forgot to tell you about this, but I did have a thing where like when monkeypox was like raging through the streets.
I think I felt like a new scare tactic because COVID was so successful. I do believe COVID is a thing.
I don't. Never got vaccinated. Actually, no. We're
but you know what I mean? But But then you feel like the news is like, what's the next big thing?
Because they like get people to tune in by like fear mongering. And,
but I felt like monkeypox was trying to do that.
Well, they had another new strain that came at the beginning, or it was like around the end of the summer. And this strain, apparently it was like you could get it from like touching surfaces and not just from intimate contact of like, you have to be hugging or like, so really like from a rubbing third party on the scabs or whatever. Yeah. So you could have gotten it. And right before I had been in Los Angeles and I did take public transportation, but I remember I had been seeing it like on TikTok and I was on the train and it was packed. And I remember being like, am I getting monkeypox right now? And then I had like a weird rash. I had a weird rash and I was freaking out. I dropped everything. I ran to City MD, like as they're closing.
Yeah.
It was me and a woman who had been bitten in the face by a dog, which I know because she was telling someone on the phone loudly about how the dog bit her in the face and she was just there to make sure everything was safe.
Right. Sometimes when people are like that, you're like,
I know.
I think you provoked it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want to bite you in the face.
Really loud right now. Yeah. But turned out I just had like hot tub rash or whatever it's called, which is so much more embarrassing than monkeypox from them being like, were you in a hot tub? I'm like, yeah, I went in a hot tub.
Or it wasn't at full heat capacity.
Yeah. Well, it was
trying to make a moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just from like being in dirty bath water that's like not chlorinated properly, and then you get like kind of like a scabies like. But it's so funny. I'm like, when I went in there, I was like, I wanted to be like, I'm afraid I have monkeypox and I need you to tell me that I don't. But I was like, in my mind, I'm like, just shut up.
Let them
Shut
do the
up.
work.
Yeah, don't come in. And I'm so glad I didn't say anything because it obviously wasn't monkeypox and I just would have seemed unhinged.
Right. Well, because sometimes you're like, I understand that they are professionals, so it must be annoying for them sometimes. Although you do always hear horror stories, but it must be annoying for them when you're like, I looked it up and I think I have
right.
this. And they're like,
coming in like, I'm the only person to have diagnosed yourself with monkeypox, clearly. I have a BFA.
when they're like, you're the first person in here that would have that. And usually they have enough. Because when you call in Norovirus, they're like, oh, yeah, you're like the 10th person today that's called in about a stomach bug. And all that stuff. But then you hear these stories where like, I went to 10 doctors and I told them, I think my pancreas is about to explode. And they're like, no, you're probably just like a stomach problem. And then, but guess what? My pancreas exploded. And you're like, well, what's real?
I know. That's what my fear is. I've had a fear of
I don't
having
know
like,
what to trust.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like aren't those cases like 1 in a million?
well, also like you go to like these places that's like a minute clinic or, or whatever. And you're like, what type of doctor are you that you're working here? Right. Like
It's volunteer.
You can't be doing well.
But I can only afford the minute clinics.
Right.
And you know what? The ones that are like, the ones in the suburbs are way better than the ones I feel like in the city. Sometimes also what I gather, like, I don't even think we're getting doctors at those medical.
It's
I think
like
they're
a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, well, whatever, out of the way.
Yeah.
Like,
I can give injections, but I can't really. I'm not here to diagnose. Maybe we can go on a numbers game.
Like, it could be a parasite. Is that anything? Well, that's the thing about like getting colds. I feel like I was thinking this the other day. I'm like, I take my health so for granted. Like when you have a cold or something or like get hit with norovirus, it makes you like appreciate just like being in good health and not being someone with like, I was thinking about this with the United Healthcare. It's like when you're not living in chronic pain, you just completely take for granted what it is to be like living a normal life and like living a healthy life.
Oh yeah. That's why
like,
that case or just hearing that he had like that back pain.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I get it. That's quite isolating.
Yeah. Or you hear about like other, people. There's so many people that have like, they're like on dialysis and like waiting for a kidney transplant.
You're actually, and it's quite, I think sickness is quite lonely. Anytime that I've been sick for a long, like the asthma as a child, I would just be in the hospital by myself.
Yeah.
Even your parents, at the time, it was only like a few hours of visitation, but the rest of it, you're just like, I'm just like a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah.
By myself watching like daytime TV.
Days of our lives.
That was the other thing. Do you remember being at home sick, watching daytime TV, and then making the observation like, I think the people that are watching TV at this hour might be losers.
Yeah.
Because it'd always be like key repair school, HVAC repair school. You're like,
and like long infomercials for like a product that no one needed.
Right. Or like, like life alert, medical alert stuff. You're just like, oh, this is the sad hour of
like,
the day.
Get 4 pans for the price of 3. 6 cookware. You're like, what?
Or like a commemorative plate. Like watching a 30-minute of how great this commemorative
the coins.
plate.
The coins of... And it's like, but this isn't real money. Like, what are these? That's like such an insane thing. Yeah, it's like an old man who's like, I need more coins. Yeah, daytime TV it's so funny that's why it really cracks me up when it's like they have the daytime Emmys and it's like no one should be getting an Emmy. It's not Emmy worthy.
We're just like they're just trying to sell soap.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I used to watch Days of Our Lives and I remember first watching it and being like, okay, I guess next tomorrow I'll find out what happens to DeStefano. And guess what? It took years to get to a plot point.
It's like a fractal. It's like it just keeps getting more and more. And you're like, DeStefano, now he has a daughter.
I could never it would just be enough to get me to watch, but it would never satisfy me. And I'd be like, I have never watched a slower paced show.
Yes. Yeah.
This is insane.
It's like watching a 30-year-long movie.
Right. And then the weird thing is then when you reflect back on it, you're like I actually think Sammy from Days of Our Lives is probably still dealing with the same issues that I was watching in 1996.
Yeah.
Like,
God.
Yeah.
Wild.
So fun.
Anyway, that's our sickness episode.
Yeah, guys, get healthy.
Get healthy. If you're
Theraflu,
sick,
I love.
Theraflu
I love
is great.
Theraflu. Lemon and ginger teas.
I love throat coat is one of my sickness teas. I also love like elderberry. I love like the sambucas. The syrup is good. Or the gummies if you're like, I want candy.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of cough drops I hate, but there are some really good ones that are just you're like, I think these are candy.
I hate Ricola. They rip my mouth to shreds.
Yes.
I'd rather just eat like the honey. I have the Manuka honey. That stuff is great. And they had it at Trader Joe's for a while.
Like that.
And it's got hydrogen peroxide in it. Oh no, that's wrong. It's got I think it's poison. It has antimicrobial in the honey.
Yeah.
So it does help. But I mean, it's like, it's not going to cure you. You're still going to be sick for 2 weeks. Yeah. And enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Rest and indulge.
And hey, if you're sick and you're like, I need content, just subscribe to our Patreon. Just join for like a month and you get our entire backlog. And we do bonuses every week unless something goes awry.
Something's happening.
But
we lost track.
But
we're back on.
We're back. Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.